Hi there, and thank you for joining me for today's live reading of The Mother's Threat by Susan Specht Oram, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. A new client. I follow my friend Wendy out of Gigi's cafe and close the door with a shutter. There's a secret hidden inside the tall old house where the cafe is located. I'd rather not know about it, but I can't unsee what I learned when I was young. Wendy and I met when I was new to town, and our orders at the cafe for takeout coffee and scones were mixed up. Tugging on a strand of curly hair, she says, "Let's go sailing soon." A nervous flutter in my belly reminds me of my appointment with a bigwig in town. I'd like to, but I'll be busy for a while. I'm signing my first client today. I flash her a weak smile. I need to make sure everything's running smoothly before I take time off. She fixes her green eyes on me, gazing with concern. Don't forget your friends and your family while you're setting up your empire. And remember, there are no woes that time on the water and the smell of salt air won't cure. We stop at her car and she unlocks it. Aren't you nervous about starting your own company? What if you can't make the payroll? I shove my hands in my pockets and stare at a crack in the sidewalk. I've had sleepless nights worrying about money. What if Outrigger Services goes belly up? With a shrug, I say, the thought does keep me up at night, but I've always wanted to be my own boss, so it's worth the risk. My mind drifts to when I was young and left on the doorstep of my dad's house. My biological mom waved and said, "Be good and prove to everyone you can take care of yourself." She took off in a cloud of exhaust, leaving me coughing before I knocked on the door. Wendy pats me on the shoulder. "Hope your new client works out too." "Me too." We part ways and my muscles tense. I want to get back to the office and check on my staff. Adrenaline courses through my veins as I stride along, humming to myself. A Porsche sports car drives past and I nod. If things go well in the coming years, I could get one of those. An older woman pushes two toddlers and a baby stroller. She reminds me of my Aunt Mary and Uncle Fred. When life settles down, I've got to give them a call. She stops at a crosswalk. Cars stop and wait. She takes her time crossing the street, but no one honks. People are fairly laid back in our corner of the country. We're out of the way, and you've got to want to be here if you came all this way. I cover the 5 blocks to the office in no time. The office I rented 3 weeks ago is on the second floor of a brick building a block off the main drag in downtown Millersville. The word downtown sounds big and fancy, but the truth is, I'm in a small waterfront town in the Pacific Northwest. You need a boat to drive west or north because there's only islands around us. To say Millersville is isolated is an understatement because it's on an island reachable by bridge from the mainland. My pulse quickens as I run up the stairs. I've got energy to burn because today is the day we start working for our first client. Coming in the door, I pant and catch my breath. Wiping my brow, I stand in the bullpen and nod to my crew. "Hey guys." We know each other well because I hired them to work at our past employer when I was their boss and head of security. We protected a biotechnology company and its underground manufacturing facility until it became glaringly apparent that we needed to switch sides and help take the company down. When we were about to be out of work at our last company, I told them I'd start my own firm and hire them. My 3 employees look up from their laptops and smile. There's a palpable feeling in the room of something important taking place. I say, "I'm going to Better Med to meet with Mr. Brinker. While I'm out, drill down on the plan we came up with for how to protect his company. We'll install surveillance cameras, check the feeds, monitor social media, and keep an eye on his property. And do some research to generate other ideas. I want us to be fast on our feet when we have a signed contract." In the back of my mind as I say this, I'm thinking about how we need more clients to pay rent on the office and for them to feed their families. I'm single by choice at the moment, and so is Flora. But Vincent has a newborn baby and a wife who went through an ordeal when she was pregnant and on bed rest. My second in command, Mimi, is a few years younger than me, in her mid-20s, and she just started saving for retirement. She pulls her long brown hair into a high ponytail and stands. We're on it. Vincent, a big, broad-shouldered man around my age, is in his early 30s. He says, We've also fine-tuning a list of potential clients. We'll have it ready by the time you come back from your meeting." His biceps bulge, poking out of his t-shirt. Flora, my third team member, grins. "Go get him, boss. Mr. Brinker will learn that Outrigger Services is the best." She tugs on the neck of the black turtleneck she always wears. I walk to the Better Med building, which is 3 blocks away on Commercial Avenue. Outside the post office, a man in an orange knit cap perches on a bench. He's playing a guitar and singing with his guitar case open on the ground. I pull $5 out of my pocket and add it to the coins and dollar bills as he launches into a ballad. I smile to myself and hope the times are a-changing, like the song. By the end of the day, my business checking account will be flush with a first payment. I grip the cold metal door handle and open the door to my client's lobby. Striding in, I check in at the reception desk. BetterMed is an industry leader in creating inventory control software for hospitals, pharmacies, and long-term care facilities. The company could be located in Seattle or another big city, but the founder and president picked Millersville because he lives here. A lot of wealthy, powerful people live in our area or have second homes in the San Juan Islands. They're hiding in plain sight, but if you stop at the specialty wine shop, you'll get a look at them during the wine tastings there. 2 employees walk past me looking at their phones on the way out the door. BetterMed's coding geeks are well paid and tend to wear tight pants, yellow high-end running shoes, and blue or white or tortoiseshell framed glasses. I say to the receptionist, "Hello, I am Violet Cleveland. I'm here to see Bob Brinker." The gal behind the counter looks about 20 years old, maybe fresh out of community college. She checks my identification and a diamond in her nose sparkles. Thin, blonde hair hangs limp below her shoulders. I run a hand through my short hair while I assess the company's approach to security. If it's lax, we'll hire security guards to augment the receptionist's services. A guard standing behind the desk with her would communicate that they were serious about security and that this is not a company to mess with. Although she glances at my identification, she doesn't note it in a log. I sign in with my name, the date and time, and she points to the elevator. Take the elevator to the 4th floor. His assistant will greet you there. Going to the elevator, I made a note to suggest to my client that he change the registration process and have visitors write down their driver's license or passport numbers. If anyone coming in violates security measures, we'll know exactly who they are and be able to provide that to the police. The elevator glides up to the top floor and my stomach knots. This is it, the new beginning I've always wanted. When the elevator doors slide open, I step out, armed with my lucky pen from the Brown Lantern, my favorite bar, and head toward my brilliant future. Or so I hope. His assistant stands and ushers me into a large office facing the waterfront. Down below, I catch a glimpse of the port shed building next to the Cedar Channel, where I sailed on Wendy's boat. The water is a deep blue today, with few waves. I sigh. I just have to get him to sign the contract and get out of here. It'll be a routine assignment for us and almost boring for my team. We've handled turmoil in the past, but in a small town, people don't come to cause trouble. They come to relax and lower their blood pressure. Mr. Brinker is the president and founder of BetterMed. My team's research shows he's often quoted in the news as an industry expert. He's also the current president of the Software Trade Alliance with a 2-year term. The trade association's members include all the movers and shakers in the software industry. He stands at his desk and comes over, shaking my hand. He's in his 50s and his silver hair is cut just so, like a movie star's hair. A flicker of worry flits across his face, making me wonder what's bothering him. If it's about his security concerns, I'll find out after we sign the contract and the non-disclosure agreement. It's my goal not to be caught unawares. My business is to protect the client, and that's impossible if I don't know about the risks they face. When Brinker and I sign the documents, my hand is slick with sweat. My pulse picks up. I stack the papers and smile, acting like I sign on new clients every day. Before I leave his office, I say, "I'll set up a regular meeting. We'll go over security concerns and review what our monitoring picks up." Excellent. He holds up an index finger. And there's more. One thing you should know about. Next week, BetterMed is hosting a trade association meeting here in our offices. It'll be members of the Software Trade Alliance, or STA Steering Committee, and we'll meet in the conference room downstairs. The last thing I want is a bunch of protesters marching around the building, making a scene while we're holding discussions. You and your team need to shut down any malcontents and nut jobs. I swallow hard and flex my jaw. He didn't mention the upcoming meeting until now. Yesterday, I said to my team, "This will be easy money. How much trouble can a software company get into?" We all laughed. I say, "Why are you holding the meetings here and not in Seattle or another city?" He taps a thick finger on his desk. I suggested it. I cock my head. Shouldn't an event like that be held in a city and not in a small town? He nods. You may be right, but I wanted to keep it close to home so we'd control the narrative. And I wanted to show off our area and where I live. I'm bringing you on board to get ahead of the situation before the meeting. I cross my arms. A week doesn't give my team much time to prepare and prevent disaster. What else do I need to know? He runs a hand through his silver movie star perfect hair. Reporters have been calling. They've heard rumors about possible protests. I sink into a seat. I thought I was here for a quick in and out contract signing, but there's much more afoot and happening at a faster pace than he let on when we first met. I didn't hear you mention protests before. Let's go over the situation now in detail. I need to be prepared so we can protect you. His face is pale. From the dark circles under his eyes, it looks like he hasn't been getting much sleep. If this is worrying him that much, I might be working long nights and staying up late in the days ahead. Running his hands down his drawn face, he says, My sources at the Trade Alliance tell me people are planning to come here from all over the country to protest next week. Various organizations will join forces. They want to make a statement in Millersville. I nod. Tell me about the groups. Who might be involved? He ticks off a list on his fingers. We've got animal rights activists defending turtles and dolphins, people opposing server farms, groups protecting the environment, and those who are adamant against companies listening to conversations on their devices. I rub my chin. We've got a grab bag of causes, and some of them are not without merit. This will be interesting. Is there a valid reason why your company would be targeted? No, I don't think so. So, we could have a bunch of people headed to town who may be looking for a visible place to make a statement and get media attention, and you and your company just happen to be in the line of fire? Yes, that's what I think. I've even received a letter with a vague threat. He opens a drawer and pulls out a white piece of paper. His hands shake. I jump up. Don't touch that. We might be able to get fingerprints off it. He sets the paper down. Good point. I snap on a pair of disposable non-latex gloves and lift the page off his desk. I read the typed words aloud. Your industry pollutes the environment. Server farms harm the planet. People's privacy is at stake. Stop spying on us with computers. If you don't stop the STA meeting, you'll regret it. I arch my eyebrows, wondering who wrote the letter and what they have planned. Someone is ticked off. And you're right, this is a vague threat, but we'll take it seriously. He sighs. There have been quiet rumblings directed at the STA, but we've managed to keep it out of the public eye so far. I was hoping to avoid an ugly situation by holding the steering committee meetings here. I convinced them by saying we'd keep a low profile in a small town. My neck tenses. I resist the urge to loosen it like I always do, looking left and right and up and down. Unfortunately, that's not possible these days. Activists devour crumbs of information and follow a trail. They can blow up a corporate event and make it into a dangerous situation. I pull a plastic document holder from my briefcase and slide the letter inside. Did this come in an envelope, and do you still have it? He shrugs. My assistant, who works on Saturdays, threw it out. What's their name? Lydia Barker. She's finishing high school and helping me out. She wants to work for me after high school and move up the ranks, he chuckles. She's got more ambition than either of my kids, who are older. What a shame. I nod, reminded of how my stepmom was disappointed when I joined the army. She's more of a peacenik and wanted me to work for a nonprofit and save the world. You never know. Your kids' ambition might strike later. Children need to find their way, and it's not always how parents envision things. He glances at a photo on the credenza of a grinning young woman and a young man with their arms draped around each other's shoulders. Those are my mischievous too. My wife insisted on calling them boots and guns, but she's gone now. He wipes his eyes. Clearing my throat, I say, I'm sorry to hear that. My condolences. He waves a hand in the air. Oh, my wife didn't die. She just up and left us. But that's a story for another day. Right now, we have bigger concerns, like the trade meetings that are starting on Monday. I grit my teeth. My company just signed on as Brinker's security consultant, and we're already in a hot mess. I glance outside and consider what we're up against. We've got a whole lot of unknowns to tackle back at the office. The sky is blue, and it's a beautiful day. But with a shudder, I sense a storm is brewing and on the way. After I question him and gather more details, I head back to brief my team. Walking along Commercial, a soft breeze ruffles my hair. My body buzzes with energy. My hunch was right. I won't be going sailing anytime soon. We've got a load of work to do to get ready for the trade association talks.